Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Weeknight Hero. As always, I'm your GM, Evan. With the Maneuvers and Actions video doing numbers, I thought it would be best to continue with the Danger Room series by discussing more interesting aspects of combat and things that typically go overlooked in a standard campaign or are things that players and GMs aren't aware of when they start. So this week's video is going to be about speed and movement. Now, I know what you're thinking. Evan, what do I need to worry about speed and movement for? My character's not a speedster. They don't fly, they don't swim, they don't teleport. Why should this factor in? Well, dear viewer, listener, subscriber, movement and speed are core components of this game because of what it's based on. Now, as I've said numerous times, you know this, Mutants and Masterminds is based on the D20 system, which is based around a combat simulation game. When you put that into perspective, typically encounters should include maps and a grid-based format of movement. It's built into the system. Now, the reason why I'm bringing it up here is because people often forget how important map making or map design is to meaningful combat encounters. So, I'll pose the main question. There was a discussion a long time ago in the Mutants and Masterminds world about what is better. To have a more durable character that can take a lot of punishment, or to have a defense-oriented character that's able to avoid and evade attacks. And for my statistics people out there, the premise of their experiment was flawed because they had your more durable character and your defense-oriented character stand adjacent to each other and just keep hitting the attack button to see who fails. So naturally, the more statistically likely thing to happen was the more durable character would win out over the defense-oriented character because of the way that the game works. Eventually, they'll be able to hit. Eventually, they're going to roll a d20, they'll get a critical hit, allows them to actually land the blow. There will always be some circumstance that will allow them to land the hit, and then your defense-oriented character loses because they're not as durable. What it failed to take into account is that this is a grid-based combat simulator game. Think about it realistically. If your character is about evading and avoiding attacks, why would you stand still and hope to win? You wouldn't, because you know why? Your character would be moving around the battlefield using obstacles and their terrain to their advantage, and that would eliminate the more durable character's advantage over you. Because when you think about it this way, every character gets a move action and a standard action, unless you were to have a move by action advantage or have a higher speed, which would allow you to completely eclipse the distance that a more durable character lacking that speed would have. Which now introduces the complication of, yes, your more durable character will eventually land a blow. However, if your speedier character is able to run in, land their attack, and run out of the maximum distance your more durable character can run each round, they will be spending their time chasing you rather than landing attacks. So now that you've flipped the whole script, the entire equation's thrown off and the experiment is a dud because you now have numerous, at least half as many chances to not get hit, if at all. And why is that? Because it's a grid-oriented game. Distances are everything in this game, and I think it's something that people often do not notice. Going back to what I said before. You put all your characters equidistant from each other, and they are also equidistant, roughly 30 feet, which is the standard move action distance, from a bad guy, which just turns into a slugfest. Now imagine if you took a couple of points away from the bad guy's powers, and maybe even their durability, and you just gave them, the ability to teleport and the move by action advantage. Now they're able to move around the battlefield freely. And now all of the momentum is on the movement character. And your characters who were originally thinking of just jumping him, just everyone landing numerous attacks because what's he going to do? Now that he can move around the battlefield, it becomes a tactical game, becomes a Fire Emblem game, becomes an Advanced Wars game, because only the most maneuverable characters will be able to attack them. Now your characters need to think. They need to use their power stunts. They need to use their hero points. They need to use their move actions, maybe even their athletics to run faster, because now they need to chase this character around the battlefield. So that's just step one. That's first grade. That's grid-based combat encounters 101. What else can this do and affect in order to create more meaningful encounters? Well, let's look at the next stage, which is three-dimensional combat. Characters have the ability to fly, they have the ability to swim, and they have the ability to burrow underground. We now have 3 dimensions of movement where if you have a character that doesn't have the ability to do that, they have the total advantage against you. And this is what I mean, is we're not creating these encounters to laugh at your players and say, haha, look what you can't do. You're trying to encourage them to problem solve. Because even though Mutants Masterminds is based on a combat simulator, in my opinion, it's a conflict resolution or problem solving game. You need to engage your characters, and oftentimes the first step to creating meaningful encounters is creating what I call the waist-high wall, where it's just large enough that you're not going to be able to just walk over it, jump over it, do anything like that. You need to use your brain to figure out how to get over it. So that's often the first step to get the creative juices flowing with your characters and get them to recognize, hey, I should be using my brain way more than I'm just using our standard powers. And again, like I've always said with these things, it's making these minor fine-tunings on even the same characters, same scenarios, same maps that allow you to use what is, in essence, the same stuff to flip it, screw it, chop it up, do all of that, and create more of something from the same parts that you have. It should be greater than the sum of its parts because all you need to add is brain power. You want to see people saying, well, technically I'm telekinetic. I should be able to allow someone to fly, right? Yes. I have super strength. Technically, can I smash the ground and knock all the dirt up in order to disorient him and allow us a chance to attack? Yes. Should you throw yourself at a teleporting character because if you can grab onto him, he can't teleport anymore? Yes. This is what we're looking for. Creative solutions to common problems. Now, finally, I'll get into the next step where movement speed is paramount. And what I'm talking about here is obstacles and terrain. When you create a map or a field and you're just judging distances and you're judging where characters should be, I always highly recommend putting the villain character at least 60, maybe 90 feet away from your characters, so that way there's at least one round where they're not stomping on them. And what you're going to do is you're going to put obstacles in their path. Because think about it this way. If your character has no powers and they're just a street level guy, and somebody has a gun and they have an assault rifle and they're going to shoot at him, what realistically are they going to do? They're going to look for cover. You need to provide cover in your maps, and you provide concealment in your maps so that us, because we're not Superman, we're Batman, know, hey, there's cover, hey, there's concealment, hey, there's difficult terrain, low visibility terrain. I should be very wary or careful about those, or I should use them to my advantage. And the enemy should be thinking the same thing, because they're not robots. You got to assume they're living in a normal world with normal understandings. Because go back to our initial problem, where the more durable character versus the more speedy character, the more durable character is going to win if they just stand next to each other. The more defense-oriented character is going to win if they're allowed to use their total movement speed to always move out of the way of their attacks. Now let's put the next stage on there, where the more durable character has a greater chance of winning if you start throwing obstacles and slow terrain into the environment. Because now you're creating something that cancels out movement advantages and movement speeds, which is all done to even the playing field. With this slower terrain, you're able to impede speedier characters. Maybe they have to go around it. With cover and concealment, you're given something for non-powered characters to work around. Unless you did it to punch the shit out of people, which, more power to you. But that about wraps up this video. Once again, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing, leaving comments, liking. Please bread the word, not spread, bread the word, because I do it for the listeners, the viewers, and the subscribers. Check out the blog, the podcast, the DriveThruRPG link, the Twitter, the social media, and participate in the conversation. See you guys later.